Canada's premier green building conference is coming to downtown Toronto on June 5th and 6th. Building Lasting Change is hosted by the Canada Green Building Council. For over a decade, Building Lasting Change has demonstrated a commitment to quality speakers, insightful sessions, and meaningful networking. Over 2 full days, business leaders and green building implementers converge to learn and share the latest business and technical insights needed to decarbonize Canada's building sector with sustainable, low carbon, and resilient assets. Learn more and register at cagbc.org/BLC. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Construction Record Podcast. I'm digital media editor Warren Frey, and I have with me today
Jennifer Johnson. I'm the Chief People Officer of ConstructConnect's, and I also serve as the President of AEC Cares.
And that's what we're going to talk about, AEC Cares. Last year, we were both in San Francisco renovating a shelter, which was quite an undertaking. And I was lucky. I got to run around and do video and audio. I didn't have to do any of the actual hammering or anything. You did. but this year, you're going to be in D.C. So maybe you could tell us what that project is, first off.
Yeah, sure. So we are renovating the Reach House. It is part of Sasha Bruce Youth Works. They're an organization that work with young people who, find themselves in need of some extra support. This project is interesting to us because this is the second time that AEC Cares has been in Washington, D.C., and this is the first time we've gotten to do some repeat work with a charity. So this is the first time that we're repeating work with Sasha Bruce Youth Works, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
Okay. From what I remember last year, the layout of the place was like a big sort of main floor for meeting and the rest of it. And then there was sort of this basement, which you guys converted in about a day, actually less than a day, into like basically rooms, essentially, with beds and everything else. Is this a similar build, or is it different? And in what ways is it different?
Well, like every construction project, it's totally different.
Okay.
So last year we had a lot of space. As you mentioned, we had kind of like a warehouse that was attached to the actual facility that we were renovating. Mm-hmm. And all of our work was really focused kind of in this giant basement and kind of like one common area in front of that and like a check-in area. Mm-hmm. But we had a huge staging area. This year we're in DC. We're actually in a residential neighborhood. We're renovating 2 conjoined townhouses. There is no staging space. There's no extra room at all. Some of the hallways and stairwells are literally 24 inches wide. So from a design perspective, it's super challenging. We're on, technically 3 floors, but because of the way that the townhomes are adjoined, there's about 5 feet difference in the height of them. So you're almost like in 6 different mini stories of a building. So it's wildly different, but I think it's going to be just as impactful as last year was.
And just in terms of logistics, that's a lot of people winding around a lot of other people, which is what happened last year too, but with a little more space. So maybe you could speak to the logistics. I think there was, this is just a guess on my part, but just shy of 100 people running around, and none of them actually, or maybe a few of them did, but most of us didn't have any construction experience directly with the tools or anything other than home stuff. So how do you navigate that, and also navigate that you have to, herd all these cats basically?
Yeah, it's a lot of planning, right? So it's definitely a lesson in logistics. And we have about 100 volunteers again this year. And we also have an excellent return general contractor partner. So last year we worked with Whiting Turner out in San Francisco. We're working with them again this year in Washington, D.C. They have just been an amazing, amazing pro bono general contractor to work with. They really understand the mission of AEC Cares, and they understand, the impact this work can have on the people who, use this facility on their lives. So, we look at the project, we kind of scope it out, and we say, all right, what are the things that the charity needs? So we spend a lot of time in this case with Sasha Bruce and said, hey, if you're looking at this, what would be most helpful? Is it that you need upgraded living spaces for the boys who live there? Is it that you need better meeting spaces? Do you need better exterior? And they said, honestly, like a little bit of everything. So we took a look at the project. We took a look at the big ticket items, and some of them were like repainting the entire exterior of the building, replacing a sidewalk that had cracked so much it couldn't be used, replacing the exterior doors so they're more secure, upgrading some of the appliances in the kitchen so that we could better prepare meals for the residents. And, really giving the whole space like a big overhaul and a big upgrade in terms of furniture, color palette, usability of spaces, creating defined spaces for the youth who are there to be able to hang out and relax or study or, do any sort of work or participate in any sort of learning they need to. They needed a family counseling area so that when family members for the residents, came to visit, there was somewhere private that they could spend time. And they needed some overflow area because sometimes, a family comes in to meet with a resident, maybe they're also meeting with a social worker, but maybe they've got younger siblings who also need to be there because there's not childcare for them. How can we create a space, like taking a previously unused space in one of these townhouses, and how can we make that warm and inviting and, serve the function of counseling in one space and in an adjoined space, have a place for a younger sibling, to just kind of hang out and not be disruptive to any sort of meetings that need to occur. So it's really, working with our pro bono designers. We've got a ton of great designers that are on board with us. And then, working with our general contractors to try and tackle any sort of like big ticket items ahead of the actual blitz build day. And then, really just planning out the team. So we've got so many different spaces that we're working on transforming. We do try and take, people who have any sort of specific skills and we try and put those to use. But a lot of people, just like you, would be not,
not me for sure. I can only speak for myself. No,
none
whatsoever.
Maybe let me paint. That's about it.
That was kind of tying into my next question because I think it was you that told me this last year. You said that like basically the day after this one ends, the next one starts with planning. Yeah. So what are those initial steps? Yeah, and then later on throughout the year.
Yeah. So first off, you need to figure out like where is convention next year. So this year it's in Washington, D.C. Next year it's in Boston. Okay, great. Well, who's in Boston? Is our general contractor going to be in Boston? Or any of our designers, do they have branches in Boston? Are there any local charities that we've already worked with or groups that we know of? Is there a local design collective? In some cases, like when we've gone to Philadelphia, there is like a community design collective that does pro bono design work. And that was amazing to happen upon. I'm not sure if Boston has it or not, but I'll probably know on June 7th.
Right. Yeah,
because I'll be doing that research immediately. But, it really just becomes, finding the right opportunity, finding the right partners, and then beginning to scope out that project, because you do have to have this balance of something that's big enough to keep 100 people busy for a day, but something that's approachable enough that you can get it done in a day, with a little work, before, with some prep work, with some other things that are going on. But, you really want the biggest impact to happen in that one day event.
And besides this event, which is, of course, very important, ConstructConnect is also going to be at AIA. So put on your ConstructConnect hat for a second and explain to me what you guys will be doing there and what AIA is all about for people who don't know. Yeah, so the AIA is the American Institute of Architects annual convention. It happens, generally like late May, early June, and it is 2 days of expo time, but it is a week of learning and CEU sessions and architectural tours and other things. So it's great that it's in DC this year, such a beautiful city. ConstructConnect is participating with the AEC Cares Day of Service the day before convention expo starts, and then on the first day of convention. Thursday morning at 10:30, our senior economist, Michael Gukas, is actually presenting on, his view on the state of the economy and the Prosper Zone. So we're really excited to come and welcome him there. We've prepared, a special economics report that'll be available for all AIA attendees, so architects and also manufacturers who are generally the exhibitors. For us, it is a great time to connect with our manufacturing clients. They are by far and large, the biggest exhibitors at this event. And it kind of feels like a bit of a homecoming. We've been going for so long. I think this is probably my 15th time at the AIA convention. And it's kind of like a little bit of a family reunion. You get to see folks that, you sold into, people who have been customers, people who have come out and volunteered for AEC Cares. And it is just a great trade show and a great event. I always tell our team that for me, it's my favorite trade show because it is like the best sales call you could ever make. It's the number one place to see all the manufacturers that you're working with. And I guess finally, I'd ask, because you mentioned volunteering, the people are able to volunteer, they're able to donate, but there's a portal for them to do that. So maybe you could explain how people can learn more about AEC Cares and maybe get involved if they want.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. So we're always looking for volunteers. always certainly looking for donors. The best way to see what our prior projects look like and what our current project looks like is just to go to AEC Cares. So architects, engineers, consultants, cares, so 2 C's in the middle.com.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us today, Jennifer.
Yes, of course. Thanks so much, Warren.
Thanks for listening to the Construction Record Podcast. You can hear us on Apple Music, Amazon, and Spotify, as well as at theconstructionrecord.libsyn.com and on the Daily Commercial News and Journal of Commerce websites. Thanks again for listening.